Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm the Antoinette, founder of the Beautifully Busy Mind and mom to a beautifully busy ADHD daughter. Here I discuss all things ADHD from a parent's perspective. Join the Beautifully Busy Mind family by hitting the like, subscribe, or follow button and turn on those notifications. Today I'm discussing how important perspective and identity is in the family of an ADHD kid. When my daughter was first diagnosed with ADHD, a teacher tried to convince me that she'd struggle forever. Her words were, "She'll probably always be a slow processor." In other words, don't get your hope up for this kid, mom. This was my daughter's, Simone's, fifth grade math teacher. I sat in a parent teacher meeting, and every comment from this woman was so negative. My daughter said that this teacher had a very impatient and eye rolling attitude towards her. She even noticed how different this teacher responded to her outside of the classroom compared to the other students. This was the beginning of my daughter's low academic confidence and consistently shrinking back. After experiencing this teacher, Simone struggled with low academic confidence for years. But I would never accept the idea that my daughter was limited in any way. I accepted the fact that she had a different learning style, of course, but not a limitation or disorder. It was a different kind of brilliance that needed understanding. I didn't focus on her fitting in. I focused on her talents, her gifts, and her passions, and not her limitations. When we started celebrating what she could do and not what she couldn't, her confidence grew and her world changed. One win led to another, and her confidence exploded. Because my daughter was more accustomed to disappointment and struggle than she was to winning, I knew I had to help her create a new identity. She needed a new identity of a winner. I focused on helping her with small wins, and before we knew it, the momentum of the wins started flowing and getting bigger. Her confidence grew, and she no longer had the identity of struggling. That's why it's important for parents of ADHD kids to understand just how important identity is in this journey. I want to help parents of ADHD kids change their perspective and identities. Your ADHD kid doesn't have a brain of limitations, disorders, or struggle. Your kid has a beautifully busy mind that is creative, focused, and innovative. Some of the greatest history makers, such as Bill Gates, Sir Richard Branson, David Neilman, Simone Biles, Michael Phelps, Will Smith, Solange Knowles, and so many more, were all diagnosed with ADHD. So here's my advice to you. My advice to parents of neurodivergent kids is to stop trying to fit your child into the standard one size fits all academic model. There are so many academic models to choose from nowadays. Focus more on their gifts, passions, interests, skills, and not their weaknesses and limitations. Work with their unique brain and not against it. When you stop looking at your child through the lens of limitations and disappointment, and start seeing them as full of ideas, energy, imagination, and potential, they will start to see themselves differently. And I also want you parents to start seeing yourself as the parent of a beautifully busy mind, not an average mind. Some of the most talented and successful people in history are ADHD. Charles Schwab, Damon John, Barbara Corcoran, Justin Timberlake, Gwen Stefani, Lisa Ling, and more are neurodivergent ADHD. Research shows that a high percentage of successful entrepreneurs are ADHD. The founders of Fubu, JetBlue, IKEA, and Kinko's talk openly about their ADHD and how it greatly benefited them as entrepreneurs. Only about 10% of American adolescents are ADHD diagnosed, and 4% American adults diagnosed. No wonder so many of the elite few in history are ADHD. They have a unique brain, a beautifully busy mind filled with so much innovation, creativity, and risk tolerance. This is why I tell my daughter, who is now 19, but diagnosed with ADHD in the fifth grade, to be proud of her unique brain. Celebrate it. Walk proudly in your unique neurodivergent identity. No shame, no embarrassment. When you change your identity and perspective, you change your child's story. My daughter would not be thriving in college if I had the perspective of ADHD being a limitation and shame. She would have assumed that identity, which would have limited her. ADHD is a beautifully busy mind. If you have a child with a beautifully busy mind, download my free guide, the Beautifully Busy Mind Starter Guide, 10 Holistic Habits for ADHD Kids. And remember, when you download, please always check your spam, junk, and promotion folders for lost emails.